Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only thing
Where's the love? Right here on this podcast. Welcome to Love Drops, where your hosts and One Love ambassadors, Charles and Diane, will share love, hope, and inspirational topics taken from their journey and world events. We will also include on-location recordings and special pop-up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Welcome to another edition of Love Drops Podcast. We are so excited to be here today with a fabulous couple that we met through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is really connecting the Love Drop Podcast with our guests from all around the world. So without further ado, Charles, you want to bring our guests on?
Yes, I do. Jabari and Debra, we're so glad to turn the mic over to you where you can speak to our listening audience. I know they're waiting to hear all about you. And with that said, I turn the mic over to you both. Welcome to the Love Drops Podcast.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
you.
We're so happy to be here and blessed. And we just are grateful to God that Charles, that you have us here, that Diane is connected with us. And I'm
Yes.
going to let my wife start with our introduction.
All right. I'm Debra Steward,
And I'm Jabari Steward.
and we are the founders of Keeping It Lit Media. We are purpose-driven marriage coaches, and we help couples take their marriage from fine to phenomenal.
Yeah.
What we've discovered is that every marriage struggle, it can be summed up in one word, and that word is disconnect. Disconnect from God and disconnect from each other.
That's the problem we solve. Now, the solution is that we've come up with a signature framework based on 4 foundational pillars. This way, we attack disconnect on all sides. Those pillars are spiritual connection, selflessness and service, communication and love, and the last pillar is forgiveness and grace. When these pillars are implemented, they form the Keeping It Lit pathway to marriage transformation, which thereby leads to one of the greatest joys of marriage, which can also be articulated in one word, and that word is connection.
That is awesome. So let's see. We know who you are. We know what you are standing on here, what you guys have done together. Tell us, where are you located in the world? And so we know you're married, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any children? Just give our listeners a little bit more feel of who Jabari and Debra are.
Sure. I'm Jabari Steward. I am from Compton, California, right here in the CPT, and that's our home base, even as of this recording right now. We are based in Compton, California. I grew up in I don't want to say the streets of Compton, but if you ever saw the movie Boys in the Hood, that was a rated G movie compared to how I was brought up. Now, Deborah's story is a little different.
I'm from Orange County, California, with you being formerly in, Pasadena, California. So, Orange County and all the stigma that comes with it. Yes, that was me. That's how I grew up. So different backgrounds, but we had the one common thread of our love for God.
Yeah.
So even we actually met in college, believe it or not, but even then it was, there was a connection.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I come from a failed marriage, which I learned so much. 2 sons birthed from that marriage, Jabari and Isaiah. They are 22 and 19. They are grown men out the house. So Deborah and I are in a beautiful time where we have no parental responsibilities. We can just come home and work on the mission that God has given us. And as Deborah said, we met in college over 30 years ago.
Right.
So after my marriage failed, we reconnected, and God has us doing an amazing mission right now in ministry and working for him with Keeping It Lit Media.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. That is so amazing. And I think one of the common things is Charles and I, we also had prior marriages. And our children were from those marriages. And so we are also empty nesters. We came into the marriage pretty much empty nesters. And it's been a beautiful thing because you get to focus on each other and you get to just really enjoy life mano a mano. And in our case, we have grandchildren, so you get to enjoy the grandchildren. And it's a beautiful thing, beautiful gift, right? We are right now in Portugal. We have been on a European adventure for the last 90 days. And so that's been pretty joyful.
Yeah, well, be keeping up with you guys on LinkedIn. Yes, I see.
Nice.
That's been pretty joyful. So that brings us to our topic today, and that is the joys of marriage, the joys of marriage. And so, Jabari and Debra, you want to speak to that topic? What does that mean to you? And then you can pass the ball back and we'll tell you what it means to us.
Sure. As I stated initially, the biggest joy of marriage is connection, because that's what is all about. Adam knew Eve, and when you're connected, there's so many tributaries is an understatement, but there's so many avenues of blessing, so many avenues of joy that can come when spouses are connected, emotionally, spiritually, amen, physically, financially, going on a road trip together. When that connection is there, there's so many joys that you really can't articulate, but you can feel them, and you can just be thankful that you have those joys because of connection.
Yeah. And, just prior to being married, a single woman, no kids, and coming into a marriage to one preteen, one teenager, and just joining in and connecting with, 3 men. It had its challenges, but what kind of always kept us grounded was our connection and our love for doing things together. Even with the boys, just spending time together with them, and then with us, with each other, doing things, new things that we'd never done before, going to restaurants. Well, we both love to eat.
Oh, yeah.
I really love to eat new and exotic foods. So I'm dragging him along. Hey, have you tried this type of food? Come on, let's do this. And sometimes he is a little questionable, like, I don't know. He's like,
what you talking about, Willie?
It's good. Try it. And then he loves it. And then he starts going to these restaurants more than I do. I'm bringing home such and such and such. So those are the joys of marriage, just new experiences.
New memories.
And that's kind of how we, I guess, keep up things that are going in our marriage. We kind of say, hey, something new. First time. First time doing this. First time going here. First time experiencing this. And those firsts really are so joyful.
That's right.
We love it.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That is so great. And so just that connective thread is what I'm hearing from you guys. That connective thread is just really key. That's the foundation and key, to joyfulness, because you stay connected. I would take that on and say, yes, we would agree. And we have that as well.
Yes.
And I would add to it communication and laughter, right? Communication and laughter.
Yes.
We laugh with each other. We laugh at each other. And it's just so much joy in that laugh, just allowing the laughter to come. And there's a grace that goes with that laughter, because it's just like, even if you have a disagreement or see things differently and you just start laughing, you just find something, you just start laughing. And what that does is it kind of lightens it up and let you move with it, right? It just let you move with it. So we laugh.
Yes, and I'll say since day one, Diane, it's always been the yin to my yang. And we don't agree on everything, but we'll support one another. And we'll allow the other to explain him or herself so we keep it moving forward.
Yes.
Staying focused on the primary objectives and keeping it moving forward. It's always not I'm right, you're wrong. Well, no, we just have a difference of opinion and
Yes.
continue to move it forward.
Yes.
Yes.
And Charles, that's key. One of our pillars is communication and love.
Yes.
Where you have to listen to understand. And that plays out really, really key in conflict.
Yes.
And what we've learned is that when you have conflict, one of the joys of marriage is being able to negotiate and navigate that conflict the right way.
Yes.
When you do that, you learn more about your spouse and you learn more about yourself.
Yes.
So if Deborah and I have something that we're in conflict about, I can't be defensive. I can't just say it's going to be my way. I have to ask her, well, why do you feel this way about this? What's motivating you to say this or to think this way or to act this way? And when she says that, it's like, okay, well, everybody doesn't think like me. Wow, what a revelation, right? What a revelation. My wife doesn't think like me. But guess what? I just released my super spouse because now I can understand my wife better, which helps me to what? Connect with her even more deeply because now I know something about her that I didn't know 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
Yeah, the joy in that is experiencing that and, questioning your spouse. Like the key that he said was finding out why does he keep doing this? Instead of getting frustrated about why does he keep doing this? Ask the question. Probe, find out. The thing for me was realizing he's not saying this to intentionally hurt me. He's not doing this to intentionally hurt me. It may feel like that, but once I start asking questions and finding out his why, his reasoning behind why he says what he says, how he says what he says, and really the meaning of what he's saying.
The message,
because here I am, he's saying one thing, I'm interpreting it way over here, but what he really means is way over here. So once in that conflict, we pause and probe and question and find out, okay, this is how I interpret it. Well, this is how I meant. So that really helps. There's a joy in that because once we get to that, it feels so amazing. It feels so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, just understanding what Deb said is really key because not only did she learn why I'm doing something, but I learned that, hey, maybe I can tweak what I'm doing to kind of fit down her stream a little bit more so she can digest it a little better. So because if I'm saying something and she's not getting the message, the communication is on my part. That's on me.
Yes.
I have to, get on that clutch and shift some gears and kind of frame my messaging a little different because guess what? Now that I know my wife is thinking this way, I can relate to her better by just changing a few words and making it really resonate with her more so than it did prior.
Yes. Yes. And I would like to say just solidifying that communication aspect, right? Just solidifying where there's clarity, where there's love, where there's respect. And, once you have those things in alignment, then you're pretty much unstoppable because, again, what you said, Deborah, that pause, there is power in that pause, y'all. I mean, sometimes just a 1, 2, 3 second pause, allow that shift, right? Because you're getting ready to say something, you like, I love you. Really, because once the words go out, you cannot take them back. You cannot take them back. And so with Charles and I, sometimes it's actions more than words. Like it may be something that he does and it may just great. Like I'm thinking, you're doing it on purpose. And he really is not. He doesn't even know that it gets me the way that it gets me. And a lot of times that nonverbal communication thing, right? You're thinking like what you were saying, Deborah, well, I'm over here with it, so I'm thinking, dude,
Right.
what you're doing. And he's over there just oblivious. So you can have great joy by just saying, honey, I'm not sure if you're aware, but that is just really. And then, you give him the opportunity to clarify, speak it up, and make the adjustments. But even if there's a space, because sometimes there will be, we must assess grace. Sometimes easier said than done.
That happens, and I'll be completely oblivious. So what went wrong?
Yeah.
What happened? I did what?
Yeah.
I said, who? Well, I'm not aware of that. She'll bring it to my attention. Well, why did I do what I didn't know I did when I did what I did? I didn't know I did it, So it comes out like that. And she knows I'm out in front for love and connectivity and doing that. And it's not done deliberately. And if she asks me, why did you say that? Why did I say what? And when she'll reiterate what I said, I say, oh, okay. I'll say the same thing, but I might have to use some different words
Yeah,
to
tweak it.
express that.
Yeah.
I say, okay, is that doable? Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's doable. Does that keep the scales balanced? I didn't know that. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It works good in those arenas.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a perfect example. Another aspect of communication and love is having open and honest communication.
Right.
So many couples, spouses are afraid to go into conflict. And we've faced the same thing in our marriage where, if something hitting you the wrong way, you have to be honest and say, hey, wait a minute, let's talk about this. I'm feeling this way about what you said, what you did, or what's going on right here. That's half the battle right there. Because once you are open and honest about, hey, I'm not, honest, I'm not feeling good about what you're saying. You're bringing honest communication to the table, and that's a virtue that nurtures your marriage. And then the other half is just you guys working it out in a loving way.
Yes. Yeah.
I have to say that is something that I really used to struggle with, and still comes back every now and then, but just being honest about being hurt and telling him, hey, what that did hurt me, what that did, it wasn't cool, and just pointing it out. And I guess for me, honestly, it was just the fear of, what is he going to say? Is he going to be mad at me? Is he going to say, well, I shouldn't have said what I said before. I shouldn't have done but I can't think about that because I don't know how he's going to react. So sometimes I would put preconceived ideas about how he would respond, and that would keep me from bringing it up.
Mhm.
But it was only making things worse, because then if something similar would happen again, then I'm just pissed off. And then I bring it up, and then it's like, well, what are you talking about? And then I'm not a basket case, but I'm just kind of rambling, and he's just like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
What happened, right, Charles?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I just said, do you want some water?
So just really the open and honest conversation is most important, in making sure that, there's the couple create a safe space. So both couples feel safe to just do that without having to worry about the consequences or what's going to happen if. No, just do it, because it's only going to make things better.
That's right.
And make your marriage more joyful.
That's the joy about it, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, 100%. And so back to what you were saying, Deborah, I call that the simmering pot, because it's just like something gets you and so then it simmers. Something else gets you and then it simmers. Something else gets you and then it simmers. And the pot is just simmering until it gets to a place where it pops, right? A simmering pop is always going to boil over, or it's just going to pop, right? And so, you're holding all that in, and then he say, well, how you doing today? What do you mean, how I'm doing? What you doing? What you doing with your hair today? And maybe he's asking the way where you want to give a compliment, but that's not what we're hearing, because that just popped the pot. And so if you can just keep that, under control, you just speak. If you and you share it, And that's a good place to pivot, because I want to talk about just protecting, right? Protecting that marital space, things that we do to just protect it, where we can have a space to communicate. So with Charles and I, we have date nights. Well, before we came
Right.
to Europe,
Yeah.
we've been on a 90-day date almost. Charles might have to have a date away, but yeah, just in our normal habitat, we have date nights
Yes.
where we would say, okay, we're gonna go to movies and dinner, because we like, doing movies. So we would find movies, we go out to the movies, we like jazz, we maybe go listen to live music. We just really incorporate the things that we really like, and then we do those things, right? And we do them together. And that just, it protects the marriage, right? And then it also fills your joy pot, because you're bringing joy into the marriage with those experiences that you have, just vacations. When I say Aruba, it's like happy place. We love Aruba. We love the ocean. We really bookshops.
Yes, yeah. There's bookshops and movies and things of that nature. We love going to the movies that Diane picks.
I hear you, my brother. I hear you.
I thought I'd throw that out there.
We watched one other night that Debra picked.
And it was good too.
That's
Yeah.
Right.
That was good.
Well,
That was good.
I will say this, that Diane has picked some movie. I never would have thought I was going to enjoy that.
That's right. Yeah.
I say, well, I'll be. Will you look at that?
Okay, and Diane gets to pick more movies than Charles, because Charles will pick a movie and go to sleep. So Diane leave me up watching your movie. You just lost 3 choices.
Guilty as charged.
No.
But
I
some
totally
of
get
those,
it. I totally get it.
I wouldn't have picked some of the movies that Diane picked, and I really enjoyed them. Some of the
Yeah.
other movies, initially I say, oh, here we go, another chick flick.
Yeah.
And it comes out that there's a good plot, there's very good acting there, and it's coming from a different perspective. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that movie either.
That's
But
it.
we're being open and we talk about it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, he has, when we select movies, I tend to let him kind of go through the selection, and then he knows what I like, so he'll say, here's a Debra movie. Watch the trailer, and I'm like, oh, I love that movie. He's like, I thought so. So we kind of, our thing is we kind of leave it to the rating, because, some movies do, some movies don't, but we kind of like to tend
Tomato meter.
a tomato meter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tomato
this is
meter.
called tomato meter. So we kind of like to go the higher the better. So, sometimes the Debra movies, they're like in the 90s. So he's like, okay, we'll watch it. And it ends up usually being pretty good.
Always,
Ends
they're
up
always
really
good. Always good.
Yeah.
Always. The movies are always good. Yeah.
Good choice. Good choice,
It's-
Jabari.
But were you finished?
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about in that conflict. What she likes and what I like are 2 different things. But if I just humble myself in selflessness and service, I can experience something that from her world. And guess what? Hey, I like this too. This was awesome.
Exactly.
Yes, because we rock, Debra. Yes, we do.
Yeah. But let me
So
say,
it-
I know what he likes too. So there are movies like, okay, let's watch this. Let's watch this movie. He's like, oh, you want to watch? I'm like, yeah, let's watch
I'm
it.
surprised.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like a lot of special effects, stuff
Yes.
blowing up,
I will interject, as far as the movies go, that another way of keeping the joy is there are some movies that Charles want to see that I'm not watching, that just it's like it's just some movie, and it's just to his taste. I mean, Charles like a lot of action movies, like what you were saying, Jabari, like with the blowing up, and there's certain things that I will, I'll say, yeah, I'll watch that with you. Case in point, Equalizer,
Denzel.
Gladiator, or what. I'm like, I'm not watching all that blood, Charles. I'm not doing it. And so then, you're a nurse, right?
That's why you're not watching it.
Right, I'm not watching all that. And so the way we balance it out is like there's some girly movies where I'm just like, I'm not going to torture him. So in case in point, like I think Mamma Mia movie when he came out, I'm like, I'm not going to torture him with a girly movie and a musical combined. And so I think I went to see that, and I think he went to watch like one of the Equalizers, 2, 3, 4, 12, whatever. So, you know, and then like we either go out to eat before or after, or, you know, go out and get ice cream. That's not our date night, but that's just like us having a movie day kind of separate. And man, I'll tell you, talk about keeping the joy, because no one has to settle in that.
That's
And
right.
it's a difference, right?
Yeah.
Between settling and compromising.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Settling, you know, sometimes it's like you settle too much and you get a little frustrated.
Yeah.
Compromising is like, let's meet. Let's meet. Let's meet. And so both, you know, you both meet.
Yes. Settling, that's rooted in dishonesty.
Yeah.
Because you're not being totally honest about how you're feeling about something. So you're settling. But when you compromise, that's rooted in love. Yeah. And love is that virtue that continues to nurture the joys of marriage.
Right.
Yes, I love that. Now, I said what Charles and I do on our date nights. What about you guys? What do you do? Do you have date nights, or what do you like doing together?
We
Yes, we love our date nights. Since we've been married, every Friday night has had the designation, the stated designation of date night.
Yes.
You know, when we had the boys, it's a different story, but it's still, Friday was still date night. We may have had date night in a basketball gym, watching a bunch of kids run up and down the court, but it was date night. Yeah. But our number one thing really for date night is really eating. Go out to eat, movies. Pre-COVID, it was probably movies in the movie theater every weekend, but once COVID happened and I discovered Netflix, I wasn't really a fan of, you know, but we discovered watching movies at home, and we have the whole surround sound and the boom and the boo, all that stuff.
I'm an audio guy, so
so we have all that. So at first it took a little getting used to it. I'm like, okay, I could do that. So we'd order, you know, still from our favorite restaurant, take out, bring it home, set up the movie, you know, get it started and watch it. And, you know, we've had other date nights just for during the holidays. We went to watch the lights. Yeah. You know, there's every
Candy Cane Lane.
And just beautiful. Just walking around, looking at lights. We've gone to the Luminarium. I think it's called the Luminarium, but it's just a light garden. There are all kind of different things, all with lights. And he really surprised me with that one, because that's my thing. I love being outside. And I love, you know, just bright, beautiful, extra things that are different. I like things that are different. So that check. It checked all the boxes. And I love surprises. So it was a surprise. So that was just literally all the boxes were checked. I was just so happy.
See, that is so much joy. So much joy. When you just doing things that you love to do together. And you guys said eat. I heard eat a couple of times. Eat.
Yes.
We love to eat as well. We love great food. And I don't know if you guys have been to Paris, France, but if you have not, absolutely put on your bucket list, because baby, if you like to eat.
Yes.
I'm just like, wow, the best food that I have ever tasted in my life. And I've tasted a lot of food, and I'm surprised that I'm not even like 1,000 pounds, after being there for a month. But the thing of it is they know how to make it with flavors where it's not over sugared. So even their pastries are not over sugared. Even their dishes and their sauces are not over salted or sugared. It is just, they know how to mix the blends, and then it comes out to you like a piece of art.
Wow.
like
Yeah.
on the plate.
Yeah.
There, it's from just preparation to presentation to taste is like, I guess it's a good place in the episode to say that your girl is a foodie. I am a
Yes.
straight
Yeah.
up foodie. I love good food. I love to cook
Yeah.
and I love to go out to eat good food.
Yes.
Good food.
Yes.
Good food.
And I am flexible in those areas. But the food, as Diane had mentioned, the food is so tasty. We've met a lot of chefs. They come out to our table. We talk with them about the meal that we had, and they tell us how it's prepared and
Yeah.
on and on. And then they don't use a lot of preservatives and things
Right.
in the food.
There you
That part,
There you go.
yes.
go. There
You
you go.
tasted it is so good. And the pastries, wow. The pastries are to die. They're just fantastic. And the last place that we stayed there in Paris, there was a bakery right downstairs.
Wow.
And you would smell the fresh bread every day. We would go in there so frequently, especially in the morning.
Yeah.
The lady knew what I was coming in for. She knew my order.
He had it ready.
So I come in and it's already
Yeah, she put it in a bag, bagged it up.
And with my French being so limited, I just had to say a few words and
Yeah.
I'm out the door.
Yes.
Shoom, just like he was.
Yes.
But
Or that this was always a good one. I give him a good thumbs up. And I'm
Right,
out the
right,
door.
right.
Yeah.
I'm out the door.
Yes, so man, I'm telling you, so there are just so many things that we could speak on as far as the joys of marriage, but I think
Yes.
we really hit the key
Yeah.
and foundational things of the joys of marriage. And so
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to pivot now into what inspired your Keep It Lit media. Because you seem pretty joyful and y'all seem pretty lit on the screen right now. So
Yeah, I can tell. Yes.
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 Well, there was really a time when we were really laser sharp focused on getting our son into college. And it was really at that time that I found that I felt like I was being overlooked as a wife. And, I felt like I wasn't being seen. I wasn't being heard. I wasn't, being valued the way I thought I should be. So honestly, at that time, I even started to question, like, is this even the right man I'm supposed to be with? It was like that.
And this was like 2023. This wasn't a long time ago.
Yeah. So I was really going through an inner struggle.
Yeah.
And I really felt disconnected, from him. Like the love and the intentionality that we once had, it was fading away. But really at the same time, I knew that it was crucial that we had to get our son to school, into a good college. So I pretty much just pushed forward and, I gave everything I could do to make it happen.
Yeah.
But we were going from, like we mentioned, basketball game to basketball game, travel ball, traveling to tournaments out of state. We
Camps,
even went
trainings.
camps, trainings. We even went to out of state campuses, colleges, and we didn't even have time to go to church anymore. We stopped going to church because every weekend we were sitting up in some basketball gym or in an airplane or just going somewhere. Yeah. So I really just became exhausted. Physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, when we finally got our son off to college.
Can I interject right here?
Okay, yes, please do.
That's how she felt, which is totally real. But here's the issue. I mean, you think I'm a bad guy now. I haven't said how I felt. I was in the mode in 2023 of just get her done. Get her done. Get this dude into college. He wants to play basketball, so let's use basketball to get him a free education. So I totally neglected my marriage, let alone my spouse. I neglected my marriage. It's like the focus was basketball, getting this guy into college. Date nights were in gyms, and we had gone through this for about 4 years, but it got really intense his senior year.
Yes.
So 22, 23, then 23, you talk about a simmering pot. It was a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Where the intensity, I was going from the West Coast in El Segundo all the way to Orange County, making an hour and a half drive in traffic just to go to practices, pick him up, the basketball games. It got really intense. So I was in a get her done mode where I asked them, it's like, man, during that time, it was like I wasn't even married. Not relationally, but in terms of just marriage was not even in my mind because we were in, like Deborah said, she was in this mode where let's do this. And so was I, but I neglected my wife. I neglected my marriage in doing that.
Yeah. So finally, we got him off to college.
Yes.
And then it was like, we could finally breathe, right?
Yeah.
And at first it felt weird. It felt strange because it was like, oh, wait, we don't have to be at a gym at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. We don't have to go pick him up. We don't have to drop him off from practice or planning some out-of-state college visit. But after a month or so, we kind of got settled into our new rhythm.
Yeah.
And, sleeping in on weekends. It was so nice and enjoying the quiet. But at the same time, there was still something nagging, like we felt like something was still missing.
We actually had, in retrospect, we had what I call PTBS, post travel ball stress. So we were so wiped out, so depressed. We were content just sitting on the couch every night doing nothing. Every night. It wasn't even about food. It was just let's just put our behinds on these cushions and let's just sit here and stare at nothing and enjoy the fact that we don't have to be anywhere. But that time, it was taking a toll on our marriage because if you're not building, you're tearing down.
Yeah. So then we went to go visit our son in college where he was after, we had dropped him off, did our little thing. It was like, oh, let's go visit. Came back. And literally the day after we got back from visiting our son, something up to that point, the worst thing that had ever happened in my life up to that point happened. My dad passed away.
Yeah.
Which really, anybody who knows me, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a daddy's girl, 1,000%. So that really struck me to my core. And, it changed everything because the grief was unbearable. But at first I was just kind of numb, when it first happened. So I just went into Debra mode and just take charge. Let's do this. So I got with my brother and, okay, we're doing funeral arrangements. We're planning, okay, where's the church? Okay, I'm doing the programs. Okay, I'm printing them out. I was, pretty much the one to make sure mom was okay. I had to make sure mom was good. The last thing on my mind was the health of my marriage. I wasn't even thinking about that at that time. And, Jabari, he was great. He did, what he could to try to, be there for me. But for me, I couldn't even really articulate. I didn't even know what I needed. How did I need him to be there for me? I didn't even know. So it still felt like there was still something missing. Right. So.
And that was in January of 2024.
Right. Yeah. So one evening, we sat down together and we realized that we needed to find a church. We needed to find a church home. So
let me interject.
Okay.
Yeah, with all that, with the grief and everything, it was a wake up call.
Yeah.
The grief was like, okay, we really don't have like a spiritual foundation to grow together with, to grow closer to God. We're going through the motions, but the growth that we're doing is limited and it's really not growth. We know how to worship God and how to have a relationship with God. We know how to love each other, but we didn't have that power within us, that growing power within us being nurtured so that we can grow closer to God individually and collectively, because we had no time for church, but we're just sitting here with all this time. And then the tragedy hits and you realize that spiritually you're bankrupt.
Yeah. So, we decided to pray and ask God to lead us to the right place.
Yeah.
So we went to, a few churches. We went to several churches.
Yeah.
And finally, we went to a church called Saddleback South Bay. As soon as we walked in the door, it felt different. Yeah. It's like, okay. We felt, the atmosphere was of peace and of love. and everybody was all smiles and hugs. And then the pastor, oh my gosh, every time he preached, it felt like literally it wasn't nobody else in the church. It was just the two of us, and that he was talking directly to us. It just hit every part of our life. And so after a few Sundays, we knew that this is it. This is the church, Saddleback Church. This is our church home. This is where we belong. Yeah. So right away, we start serving. We start serving together.
She serves with the children's ministry. She had prior experience doing that. So she had a place where she felt like home. And me being in music ministry as a musician, keyboard player, and worship leader, I just started playing keys there. And we started serving together in ministry. Not only were we going to church, growing together, learning some word of God again, and also Deborah had a void in her life because she was really missing that sisterhood fellowship. And Diane, you might be able to relate to that, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Just like
that social
that social aspect. You know, man, we okay. We can be anywhere alone and we're good. But you know, but Deborah was missing that sisterhood aspect with some real spiritual sisters around her. And we had all of that in one at this church. And the beautiful thing about it, once we started doing that, that's when God just said, okay, I was doing this ministry, CO2C is a YouTube channel, and I heard God say shift. And I went to Deb. I said, okay, well, maybe we should do a marriage ministry. Let me tell the truth, a YouTube marriage channel to help marriages. That's what it was. And Deborah said,
no. I said, no, I don't want to do that. Our marriage ain't even together. What we gonna do to try to tell other people about marriage?
And then God just started working. He started that was in March. We went to Saddleback, South Bay. A month later, that's when Keeping It Lit Media was born. God had restored our marriage, and he was doing so many miraculous things just from 2023 to the beginning of March 2024. The connection was just totally different. It was fortified, it was thriving, and it was like, okay, we need to teach other couples how to do this transformation. We didn't actually know how to articulate it as well as we do now. But in our hearts, we were like, we have to be able to help these marriages, whether you've been married 50 days or for 50 years. Everybody needs to understand the spiritual connection aspect, the selflessness and service, being able to communicate in love, and the forgiveness and grace. Those things can lead to transformation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to kind of rewind a little bit, because initially when we started at this church and we served, we actually were serving together. So you know how every church has I'm not gonna say an onboarding, but a new members class, orientation, like a new members class. Well, they had one, but they were right in the process of renewing, because they had a new pastor that took over the church. So he kind of revamped this whole, new orientation, new members class. So we ended up together being, they call table leaders, not really teachers, but we volunteer. We just starting there and like, we volunteering to be table leaders, and
nobody knew who we were.
No one knew who we were. And we were leading tables. We even did it, individually. So I have my table over here. He had his table, and they're like, oh, that's your husband. And he's like, yeah, that's my wife. And so we just started getting that, allowed us even to get to know people more. We're driving out to South Orange County together to do this ministry together. And that was even before I started working with the kids. That's before he started working in the music ministry. So literally our very first thing at this church was serving together. And that's where it all started to fall into place.
That is so beautiful. I've heard so many just like wows. Before I even get started, I want to just thank you both for your transparency, because a lot of people try to just sweep the elephant under the bed, like in their marriage. They try to sweep the elephant under the bed, and it doesn't fit. And that's part of the joys of marriage, is just keeping it real, right? It's real. It's just like there are some paths down that journey where there's a dip. Like it's like a dip where it's like, whoa, did I just fall off? Are we gonna be able to come out of this rut?
There it is.
Just all of these different things. And what I love is I love how God will take our dips, our messes, our situations and use it to just bring love and light to the world. He'll use that. He'll just use it, right? So you're saying in your marriage, like, okay, we feel like we're kind of growing apart, or we feel like we're just hit this stuck place. And then, okay, so you find spiritual connection and you plug in. And when you plug in, the first thing that you come out is doing it together. So it's like you went into that plug, boom, now you come out together, working together, as table leaders, right? Serving together. And from that serving together, you then served, separately, right?
Yes.
Right.
But and then you both were satisfied because Jabari, you have a love for music, so you were able to tap into that. And Deborah, you have that love for connectivity with the sisters and with the children. So you got that woman community. It is really important to state here that one of the joys of marriage is working on your individual selves so that you can bring your best selves to come together. Together. We talk about that all the time. It's just like, and that's been one of the challenges, of all this time together right now, because it's just like your individual self. So we've been blessed where we've had spaces where Charles can be in a room, I'm in a room, and we're working on things, then we come back together and just kind of talk. But you have to step away to appreciate that togetherness, because what happens is if it's just constantly together, then it kind of becomes where it's undervalued, where it's underseen, where it's underheard, where it's automatic. It just goes on autopilot.
Autopilot.
Right.
Just autopilot. And it's like, and autopilot is what, guys? It doesn't require effort.
Right.
It just runs, right? So again, just thank you for, just sharing that. And I just also want to say that people are more prone to hear you if they know that you have had your own struggles. If everything is so perfect, like if your marriage is so, and if you guys are like in this place and you're like, so we're going to tell you about keeping it lit. You can't tell them about keeping it lit because you don't know the struggle, right? But then if you go through, you have to go through something.
Yes.
And we all have our different somethings.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
We all have our different somethings, Charles.
That's true. When we're going through our different somethings, when that come up, I can say this. Diane comes up with most creatively in how to address these things. And I'm looking in awe and saying, I'll try it. Let's try that.
That's it.
At times she'll say, let's take a 15-minute break once a day and discuss whatever we're going to discuss. Well, I'll try that. Another time we'll meditate. With music, without music. Or I'll say, hey, babe, let me share some new Tai Chi techniques with you. She'd say, okay. And I was shocked at times, but jump in there. And I said, well, let's do that. And we do it. And we do it. And it keeps us goal-oriented, keep us focused, keep us moving. So it's not my way or her way, it's our way.
That's it.
And we just continue to move it. And it's worked.
Yeah.
It worked fantastic.
So I was gonna say so 24, we're in 25. So like we're talking about like last year, I'm putting these pieces together. So you reconnected, you got lit, And then he
Yes.
says, okay, we got lit, then we need to go ahead and light some other candles,
Yes,
right?
that's
We need
it.
to
That's it.
light. So now you have your keeping it lit media,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So tell me about the media part.
Keeping It Lit Media. Well, of course, Deborah came up with the name, Keeping It Lit. Where we are not a marijuana ministry. No,
Right, right.
this is about marriage. But anytime you're an entrepreneur in this culture, in this age, you have to be a media company because you're going to be producing content, because you have to add value to your audience through social media channels, through blogs, websites. So we are a media company. I have a music background, so production is what I do, and everything I've been doing all my life has been preparing me. Even with the basketball journey, editing basketball videos, I edit the videos, I produce those videos. So it all works together. It all came out to just, hey, we are a media company. That's what we do, and we have a message. And you know, the Bible says, "He who has an ear, let him hear." Also says that how can they hear without a messenger? That message has to be sent. So and in today's culture, if your message is not packaged correctly, it won't be heard, even if it's sent. So as a media company, the onus is upon us right now to package our message with excellence, to package it with love,
Yes.
to package it with understanding, and like you said, the relatability. Hey, we've been through some hell ourselves, so we just want to help you out, you know, because we were the couple you were 2 years ago.
Right.
So we want to help you out. So that's the thing. When you come with that authenticity, the love and the excellence, and you package it right on those channels, you are a media company with a message.
Right.
Yes, that is good. That is so good.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. What are you now doing with your company, Keeping It Lit Media, that is not only adding joy to your marriage, but to the marriages of the people that you guys are engaged with?
Awesome. I'll start off and take it to Deb. We haven't even launched yet.
Wait a minute. Hold
Yeah.
on. Seriously.
Seriously.
Okay. Okay.
We are in startup mode as of this recording.
Yeah.
When this recording drops, we'll probably be a week out from startup. So if you're listening to this right now, search us out on keepingitlit.media.com because we got some exciting things that are starting up in the month of February.
Awesome.
Right.
We have a pre-launch event that's happening at Saddleback Church, South Bay. That's happening on February 8th. This will probably be after your listeners hear this, but that's our first pre-launch presentation of our Keeping It Lit Media, the problem of disconnect, and our solution of the signature framework. Then I'll let Jabari articulate what else is happening after that.
Yeah, we also have the church where I grew up at. We're going to be having a Keeping It Lit live event there. And that is just so amazing and just true to my heart because that's where I, for lack of a better word, cut my teeth on the word of God, you know, to use that old phrase. But yeah, my grandfather was a pastor and he founded that church. And, you know, my whole family, we went there up until the time I went there up until 2015, right before I reunited with Jabari. And just so much history there. And for the pastor to, you know, just see what we're doing and pastor and first lady and ask us to come
They asked us to
and
come back.
do a presentation there and to help their couples keep it lit. That was really awesome. So that's coming up. That'll be in March. And we just actually had a prayer breakfast at our neighbor's house yesterday. And, you know, it was just so awesome. And, you know, Jabari mentioned, hey, you know, we should do this regularly. And our neighbor was like, yeah, I would love to have people in our backyard. So we're like, backyard ministry. She's like, okay, let's do it. So we can, you know, have you guys present, keeping it lit, she said, and then we'll do something else. It's like, we can do dancing. How about keeping it lit and cha-cha? Keeping it lit and salsa. Keeping it lit and hot chocolate or cocoa, so just that. And it's just, like I said, when we are stepping out in faith, God just puts things in our path, to really just show us that we're on the right path. We've connected with pastors in South Africa, and they reached out to us. They called him on Facebook Messenger. Like, what are you guys doing? We want to be a part. We love what you're doing. And it's just like, wow, we're international now. So we have free content, we have on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, we have things available. So it's just amazing what we're doing.
And
wow.
Our launch is February 22nd. We're doing our first live stream, Keeping It Lit Live from Newlyweds to Forever. February 22nd. And that will be a live stream only open to those persons who are part of the wait list on there. Because we don't want to open this up to the public. It's for certain people who really want to be a part, who really want to take their marriage from fine to phenomenal. So this is our inaugural event, Keeping It Lit Live from Newlyweds to Forever. You can search that out at keepingitlit.com/newlyweds to forever or keepingit.com/find the phenomenal. Either one. But if you go to keepingitlit.com, you'll see it there on our website, so you can register your interest if you wanted to attend. And Debra did mention the March event. We're doing Keeping It Lit Live from Newlyweds to Forever.
West Coast Vibes.
West Coast Vibes
edition.
All right now. Okay.
Yes.
Very much. And what I was hearing when you were speaking, both Debra and Jabari, is that concept. If you build it, they will come. And that's like one of those step out on faith things. And so because you have created a space for this to just evolve, that is exactly what it is doing and what it will continue to do. We are so excited to be in the pre-launch of it. I thought it was already, out there, but just in the launch of it. So we're excited for that. I'm also excited to hear that Jabari is, in production, because we got a YouTube channel out there. It don't look like your YouTube channel. Ours look like we're not in production. Yours look, I'm like, look how fancy. You're looking at the videos. I was like, well, look at there. What are they doing over there? But I think honestly, it's just in the message, just like what you were saying. It's in the message. The message will hit. The message will resonate, as we are, just putting it out there. Right. It has been so phenomenal talking with you guys. And as we said before we even started recording, we're definitely going to have you guys back on the show. We will get you back on after you've launched out. Definitely going to, have you guys back. So listeners, you want to stay tuned for, the Keeping It Lit. And Jabari?
For the Love Drops audience, we actually have a special gift. We actually have a free mini course. It's a 3-part mini course on marital disconnect. This mini course was launched earlier in the fall of 2024. However, because you invited us on this show, we want to open up this free gift to you and to your listeners. We actually closed registration down.
Right.
Wow.
We're focusing on keeping it lit live right now and gaining momentum with that. But for your listeners, we want to make sure they go to keepingitlit.com/disconnect, and they'll be able to actually express that they want the course. And when they do, we'll make sure it gets privately delivered to their inbox.
Wow. Should we have them say something like in the special code promotion, like hashtag Love Drop Podcast?
No, not at all. You leave your name and email and we'll get the course to you. It's a 3-part on marital disconnect with an overview of our signature framework.
Love it. So listeners, you hear that? And we will put it in the narrative of this episode. So, yes, that would be amazing. I want one more thing because
Sure.
we have been going on and on. I'm telling you, this conversation has been lit.
Yes.
What I would like is for each of you to leave with our listeners just a love drop of inspiration on joys of marriage, just from your heart to theirs.
Okay, I'll go first. I think from our experience, the number one thing is connecting, making sure you're connected with God. That connection with God really gave us the superpower, the supernatural power to connect with each other. Because when we lost that connection with God, then everything else started to just unravel. So once we reconnected our connection with God, our connection with each other started really to flourish. And it was literally just that one decision we made to pray for God's direction. And in praying for God's direction, that was really the turning point for us.
Yes.
That led us and started our marriage on our journey from fine to phenomenal.
Yes. I would say to the audience, the Love Drop audience, that, you know, a lot of us are under the impression that your marriage has to be in dire straits for you to take it from fine to phenomenal. But we use that phrase because most people think their marriage is fine. We didn't have a negative atmosphere in our marriage in 2023. It wasn't negative at all. Wasn't a lot of bickering, wasn't a lot of fighting, you know, but there was a serious chasm of disconnect there that we kind of really didn't even have time to recognize nor even to deal with. So 2 things. I want to tell this audience 2 things. Make the decision to take your marriage from fine to phenomenal, no matter where it is, because your marriage is a journey. You put all this time into planning your wedding day, and yeah, you did great on that. But now it's time to put that same energy into building a marriage that's phenomenal. And the second thing, if you don't have hope or anything like that about what can happen in your marriage, I'll say this: God can do for you in 10 seconds more than you can do for yourself in 10 decades. Bottom line. But you got to trust him to do it.
That's right.
Ooh, that was good. That was good, John.
That was a lot.
Good. And we are releasing this on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So
Keep
that's
it in there.
Keep it in there.
episode.
Yes.
Yes. And so a lot of our listeners really need to hear what you are saying. And I think they will just celebrate the day of love lit. Lit, right?
Yes.
Even though with Charles and I, our Valentine's Day is just 365. It's not just just one set day. I want to circle back and say one thing before I throw it to Charles for his favorite question. And that is what you said about the time. You can have a great marriage, but you can just get too busy for yourself. You can get so busy just doing things, and it could be great things, right?
Yeah.
Great things, but just let your marriage slip, and we've been, guilty of that, just out doing so much that by the time you get home and you get to one another, you're just tired. Just tired.
Yeah.
So I think one of the joys of marriage is like being intentional and being honest with where you're at and how you can be better. There's always room for improvement.
That is true. And ask your questions. Sometimes it may be uncomfortable, but it will impact negatively on the foundation if it is not addressed.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to bring it up, talk about it. And then too, when you bring up things of that nature, address the issue, not the individual.
Not the person. That's it.
Right.
Not the person. Yeah, you can destroy a lot of things by addressing the person. Just address the issue
Right.
and continue to grow from there.
Yes.
And with that said, you've shared so much with our listening audience, and we greatly appreciate it. Now, what is the best way for our listening audience to get in touch with you? Not your telephone numbers. You don't need telephone numbers. But what are the other best ways for our listening audience to get in touch with you?
Love Drop audience, if you want to stay connected with us, I'll reiterate, the best way to do it is to go to keepingitlit.com/disconnect. Drop us your name and email. Click that button that says, I'm interested, count me in. That way we'll be able to deliver to you personalized, free, a lot of value in terms of how marriage resources, the hows and the whats, the disconnect course as well. But we'll keep you in the loop in terms of everything that we're doing.
Right.
We have so much that's coming down the pipeline right now. Once you do that, we'll be able to stay connected with you and help you on your marriage journey.
Thank you, Jabari. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. We want to thank you guys for the time you've given us today. Time is non-refundable. And we appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. This is just the beginning of our conversations. We have many more conversations to go.
Yes, we do.
And we're looking forward to it. We want to thank our listening audience for just hanging in there with us. And do reach out to Keeping It Lit and contact Jabari and Debra Steward. And support what they're doing. Pass the word. Share it along. Share it along. Word of mouth is priceless. And sharing is sharing.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we want to thank you so much. We want to thank the Love Drops audience just for having us. And we want to thank you for your wisdom that you shared with us as well. So we really appreciate that. Your love, your wisdom, your encouragement. Thank you. Thank you
guys so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
You so much.
We like to leave off with
one love.
Never a second will I waste, never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love.
Love it conquers all, whether big or small. Love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never